the beginning of the movie, we will be introduced to a beautiful teacher named Emma, who is teaching at a school in South Africa. And today is Emma's last day of teaching before school vacation. Here, Emma intends to take a vacation alone at her father's house outside the city. And it turns out that at this time, Emma is upset after fighting with her boyfriend last night. When Emma was about to go out suddenly, there was a locker guard who told Emma that her cousin left a camping tool for Emma to take to her father's house. Okay, fine. Long story short, Emma is already in the car heading to her father's house to spend the holidays, and it seems that Emma immediately calls her father to tell him that she is on her way there. Emma, who was upset, told her about her quarrel with her boyfriend. Hearing this, Emma's father said whether she needed to beat her boyfriend. It turns out that Emma's father is a former Special Forces lieutenant. Emma tried to calm her father by saying that her father didn't need to worry about their relationship. It's my job to worry. On the other hand, we are shown with a group of people who are smuggling illicit goods into the car, and the group is led by someone named Bosman. It turns out that Bosman and his men intend to bring the illicit goods to the border of South Africa. Shortly thereafter, their group was seen leaving using 2 cars. While on the road, Bosman's nephew named Piet looks scared because he just joined Bosman's group today. Knowing his nephew was very panicked, Bosman said that everything would be fine. Okay. So, Piet. Then the story returns to Emma, who at that time suddenly gets a message from her boyfriend, and her boyfriend says that he still loves Emma very much. Seeing the message, Emma, who also still loves her boyfriend, is forced to get out of the car just to reply to the message. And it is known that they fought because Emma accidentally saw her boyfriend beating someone. Emma, who really doesn't like violence, is certainly very angry and disappointed with her boyfriend, but the boyfriend said that he was only defending himself and was forced to hit the person. On the other hand, Piet, who was driving, suddenly had his car stopped by a policeman, and Piet, who could not hide his fear, was very nervous when asked to issue his driver's license. This certainly made the policeman suspicious and wanted to check into the car. Meanwhile, Bosman's men who were in the other car, they tried to divert the police by pretending to ask the direction of the road, but the police still insisted on looking into the car driven by Piet until finally they pointed a gun at each other. The police, who felt cornered, finally gave up and asked Bosman's group to be willing to let him go, and he promised not to say anything about this incident. But Bosman, who thought otherwise, he told his men to take down the police. Then they took the policeman to a very quiet location, while on the other hand, Emma turned out to also pass that way, but unfortunately, when Emma was near the location of the Bosman group, her car suddenly broke down. Emma tried to contact her father, but the location did not have the slightest signal coverage. Back to the Bosman group, it turns out that at this time they intend to kill the police who have blocked their way, and Bosman told Piet to execute him, but Piet, who did not know how to shoot, he was told by Bosman to shoot rocks first. It turned out that the shot was heard by Emma, and Emma, who thought that the shot came from people who were hunting, she immediately took a bottle to ask them for water, and the water she would use to fill her empty radiator. Back to Bosman's group, it seems that one of his men disagrees that the policeman should be killed, but Bosman ignores his words and will continue to kill the policeman. Then Bosman told Piet to immediately execute the police. At the same time, Emma got there, and Emma saw with her own eyes when the policeman was killed. This certainly made Emma shocked and accidentally dropped the bottle she was carrying. Because of the sound of the broken bottle, the Bosman group realized Emma's presence and then chased her. But unfortunately, Emma, who tried to escape, was caught by them. Then Emma was brought to face Bosman, and here they planned to rape Emma before finishing her off. While on the other hand, it turned out that the policeman was still alive and secretly trying to get into the car. Before doing their actions to Emma, their attention was distracted by the police who had managed to escape with his car, and all of Bosman's men tried to chase him, but they seemed unable. And in the end, Bosman casually shot the policeman from a distance until finally the policeman was completely killed. While in the previous place, Emma tried to release the handcuffs in her hands, After succeeding, Emma went to her car to get her cousin's camping gear, and one of Bosman's men who was assigned to guard Emma just realized that Emma had run away from there. Soon Bosman and the others arrived, and Bosman was furious after learning that Emma had run away because Emma was the only living witness to their crime. At that moment they immediately tried to find Emma. Emma herself was seen hiding behind a rock in shock at what had happened to her. Then Emma took binoculars, a knife and drinking water cleaning powder. On the other hand, Emma's father began to worry because Emma should have reached home, and he tried several times to contact Emma, but never connected even once. Returning to Bosman's group is shown with one of his men finding Emma's identity in Emma's damaged car, and he immediately informs the others via HT radio. Here Pitt tells Bosman that he can track Emma through her footprints, and this is because Pitt is a former ranger. Come. After everyone gathered, they began to look for Emma through the footprints she left behind, and it seemed that one of them deliberately erased the traces that had been passed so that no one else would catch up with her. Long story short, the Bosman gang had arrived at the rocks where Emma was before. Fortunately, at that time, Emma was not there. It turns out that Emma was monitoring their movements through the binoculars she had brought earlier. Here Emma began to realize that Bosman's group was tracking her through footprints, and at that time Emma also tried to trick them by making fake footprints. It turned out that this made the Pit, which was a reliable tracker, confused, and in the end, the Bosman group decided to split up to look for Emma in various directions. On the other hand, it is shown with a driver who accidentally saw Emma's car on the side of the road, and the person happened to be Emma's father's best friend. He had called Emma's name, but he didn't get an answer. Then the person went to a place where there was a signal to contact Emma's father, and heard from him. Emma's father immediately decided to come there. Emma herself currently managed to find a water, but Emma, who was sure that the water was contaminated with poison, she tried to sterilize it first into a bottle. Shortly thereafter, Bosman's men named AJ and Boella saw Emma from a distance, and at that moment AJ wanted to inform the others that he had found Emma. But Boella, who intended to pervert, forbade it. Boella apparently planned to rape Emma before reporting it to the others. Then Boella asked AJ to wait while she would go down to Emma. On the other hand, it is shown with Emma's father, who has arrived near the car left by his daughter, and when checking the surrounding area, the father realizes that someone has erased the footprints. Emma's father and his best friend try to find clues in other places until finally the father can conclude that there are 4 or 5 people who are hunting his daughter. Hearing this, her father's best friend immediately suggested to immediately ask for police assistance, but Emma's father said it was useless to report the police. The father did not seem the least bit worried about Emma, because his daughter had been trained by him since childhood. Emma is very proficient and knows how to survive, but is known to have a weakness in shooting. Back to the previous place, Boella, who is currently pointing a gun at Emma. Emma begs Boella to let her go, because she really doesn't like violence. Hearing this, of course, Boella laughed, because he still thought that Emma was a weak woman, and finally Emma was forced to finish off Boella with the knife she was carrying. Meanwhile, AJ, who had waited long enough, he tried to call Boella, but there was no answer. Finally, he reported to the others that Emma had been found, and it was also heard by Emma through Boella's HT radio. Then Emma immediately took Boella's radio and gun and hurried to hide from there. AJ, who had seen Emma run away, immediately approached the location until he finally found Boella, who had just been killed by Emma. AJ then called the others to quickly approach him. Shortly thereafter, Emma contacted them via Boella's HT radio, and here Emma challenged them to catch her immediately. And if they don't succeed within 2 hours, Emma will call the police to report them via the radio that is now in her hands. A few moments later came Bosman and the others to the place of Boala's corpse. And those who were thirsty without thinking drank the water that was there except Bosman. After that, they hurried back to teach Emma. On the other hand, Age, who had arrived first near the rocks, tried to find Emma below, but suddenly he was stoned by Emma from above, which caused Aja to die on the spot. After that, Emma continued to monitor them through binoculars until on one occasion Bosman found Emma and then shot her. Luckily, Emma was able to avoid the shot, while Pitt, who had drunk water that had been contaminated with poison, now began to weaken, until Pitt saw Emma, who was trying to get into the empty houses there. At that time, Bosman shot Emma again from afar, but again the shot missed. Then Bosman told his 3 men to surround the empty houses while he would aim from a distance. Emma herself was seen to have managed to get into one of the empty houses. On the other hand, Emma's father has returned home because he believes his daughter will be able to overcome her own problems. Meanwhile, when Bosman's men who had approached decided to split up into every empty house, until on one occasion Emma managed to finish off one of Bosman's men. Bosman, who saw Pitt just sitting, he immediately told him to immediately go in looking for Emma. And when Pitt entered, Emma managed to corner him. Here Pitt begged Emma to let him go, and he promised not to chase Emma anymore. Emma, who felt sorry, finally wanted to let go of the Pit. But when the Pit came out, he shouted while saying that Emma was inside. As a result, Emma immediately killed him with a knife. Pitt! After that, Emma entered another empty house, and it turned out that there was one of Bosman's men there. He, who realized Emma had entered, immediately turned down the radio sound and then prepared to catch Emma. This apparently made Bosman wonder why none of his men answered. As a result, Bosman decided to go downstairs, while one of Bosman's remaining men finally crossed paths with Emma until a fight broke out between them. Emma, who is very good at fighting at close range, was finally able to eliminate all of Bosman's men, and now all that was left was Bosman alone. When Emma came out, it turned out that Bosman was already there, pointing his sniper weapon. And Bosman, who still underestimated Emma, challenged Emma to a cowboy-style shootout. Emma was worried because she was very weak in terms of shooting, but for the first time Emma managed to shoot quickly and precisely until Bosman died on the spot. At the end of the movie, even though Emma had been shot in the shoulder, she was still strong enough to walk home to her father's house. When Emma hugged her father, Emma said that today she had just practiced shooting. Then when Emma is already in the hospital, she calls her boyfriend back to apologize. And Emma, who previously disliked violence, now realizes that violence sometimes needs to be done when in a state of urgency. And with a very impressive ending, the film ends.